When it comes to the wildlife of one of the most densely populated countries ever made, the state of Israel, it has two distinctive features. Firstly, wild animals here often show little to no fear of humans and are often found in cities, whereas in other countries one would have to crawl through the bushes just to catch a glimpse of them from afar. Secondly, Israel's wildlife, at least in urban areas, seems to mainly consist of foreign immigrant species. For example, the ubiquitous myna and the two red-billed green parrots are native Indian species, while the similar yellow-billed green parrot is native to Brazil. Nutria is also a native of South America. The giant African mantis is, you guessed it, from Africa. Animal immigrants seem to outnumber natural-born old-timers. Let's limit ourselves to Netanya, where I live now. Here, in addition to Egyptian mongooses, there are white-bellied hedgehogs, and here is one of them. They probably reached the promised land on their own without a special human assistance. But since Israel is the southernmost point of their habitat, it is likely that they arrived to Israel relatively recently, unlike their long-eared nephews who have already also reached Africa. This hedgehog now roams along rubber pipes that can be seen almost everywhere in Israel cities. In summer they are needed to water grass and bushes. Oh, look who's there! There are two of them and they are a family. They hang around bowls of cat food left for cats. Cats were brought to Israel before it became a state during the British Mandate to help solve the rat problem. And since then their numbers have exceeded 2 million. Cat food is left in many places in the cities, and mongooses, the highlight of Netanya's animal diversity, are no longer afraid of people because here they eat cat food among cats and cats don't seem to care. Israelis continued to feed cats, probably in part to commemorate times when cats saved fledgling agricultural communities from rats and mice. This is very socialist, completely irresponsible, and not at all environmentally friendly, but it is in the traditions of Israel. Here we cannot help but remember that the State of Israel provides for the needs of a group that currently makes up 13.3% of the total population and is growing at 4% per year, allowing them to pray without doing anything else because they themselves say that otherwise the whole society will not survive, without bothering to prove it. As with cats, their numbers have long been recognized as a national problem. And as for hedgehogs, 5 years ago, in 2018, many white-bellied hedgehogs were diagnosed with an overweight problem due to overfeeding, so much so that they could no longer curl up into a ball as hedgehogs do. If you look closely at one of them, you can see bulbs that are likely symptoms of some kind of exoparasitic disease, and hedgehogs are known to suffer from such diseases. The two unusual characteristics of Israel's species diversity stem from the relative youth of Israeli society. At the beginning of the 20th century, most of what is now State of Israel was a desert inhabited by relatively few native species. New human settlers plowed and watered fields and grew crops, thereby creating new ecological niches, first of all for insects and rodents, which were soon followed by new birds, insectivores and predators. Their hunting grounds were nothing more than cultivated fields with the new planted forests as they began to appear. As for trees in Israel, we see a mishmash or salad, as Israelis call it, with eucalyptus trees from Australia, various sycamore trees, often American or African, for a total of 253 confirmed introduced plant species, accounting for just under 10% of the total number of plant species of Israel. Now we see that hedgehogs essentially work like vacuum cleaners. New animal species initially depended on humans with their agriculture. Human immigrants from all over the world brought their pets, with some of them eventually escaping from cages and successfully settling in the new environment. The tradition of leaving cat food here and there further attracts animals that usually stay away from cities. The adaptation of animals to life near and among humans is called synanthropization, and in Israel we see it in action. This happens in most countries as soon as they begin to regulate hunting, and in Israel hunting is strictly prohibited, with the exception of only 15 bird species, also largely restricted. Interestingly, Israeli law specifically prohibits hunting with a bow and arrow. In any case, my hedgehog neighbors feel relatively safe on the streets of Netanya among its human inhabitants, just like the popular wild boars in Haifa or the Nubian goats in Mitzpe Ramon. We can safely say that Israel's wildlife is more man-made than in most other countries of the world.